Time magazine has announced their shortlist for Person of the Year, a highly coveted title. And we are gonna break that list down for you and then also share some of our ideas for our Persons of the Year. So the first one on the list is Jeff Bezos, the Amazon CEO. Next up is the Dreamers. The Dreamers are the thousands of undocumented immigrants brought to the US by their parents when they were children. They face uncertain futures in the Trump administration and
that's a shitty.
Well, so basically, okay.
Anyway.
Wait, first of all, also, before we get into more people, we should clarify that since 1927, Time has identified the Person of the Year, recognizing the person or group of people who most influenced the news during the past year.
The criteria is
for
important.
better or for worse.
Yes, Hitler was Time's Person of the Year one time.
Yes, and then also it can be a group of people, so that will make sense. We talk about the Dreamers, then there's Jeff Bezos, then Patty Jenkins, who is the director of Wonder Woman, Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea, so for better. Or for majorly worse, Colin Kaepernick is also on the list. The Me Too movement, the hashtag Me Too movement, which we've seen towards the later end of this year, but has been incredibly pervasive and has definitely been a major news story. Robert Mueller, the special counsel following FBI Director James Comey's firing. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who has been leading a sweeping crackdown of businessmen and members of the royal family accused of corruption. Donald Trump, also on the list. You may remember that he was Time's Person of the Year.
He is on the list.
Yeah, he's on the short list. He was Time's Person of the Year last year, and then he had some kind of bizarre tweet about how he was gonna be the Person of the Year this year, and then Time had to say, no, we haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
He obviously, he's wanting to be
yeah, that's why he's doing everything he can.
Yeah, he really likes it. That's why I said highly coveted. And then the president of China, President Xi Jinping, who's also on the list. So we have a lot of people who have definitely been in the news this year. I think a lot of excellent candidates for person or group persons of the year.
Yeah, I really like the list overall. I think there is some that have been excluded that shouldn't have been.
Right.
But overall, I agree with the people.
So, because we have come up with our own lists of people that we think would be on here that are not on the list already, and it was hard for us to do. We actually had to take it sort of felt like we were each taking a test of thinking of who would we put on this list, because it's a pretty comprehensive list from various different industries who have affected the news cycle this year. So, who's someone from your list that was not on Time's short list?
Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, that's true.
I would argue that everything that we are going through since the elections last year, one way or another, like Putin is behind it. From just like sowing the distrust within this country, the way we're at each other's throats, the way we don't trust the media, the way we don't trust our democratic process anymore, that can be traced a lot of it back to Putin and his country's own agenda.
Yeah.
And like, why isn't he on the list? He should definitely be on the list.
That's interesting. When I wrote my list of candidates, I took a little bit more of a whimsical approach, and it was more for me personally, who would be my Person of the Year.
Demi Lovato, because she made the best documentary this year.
That is literally the.
Oh!
That is literally, go to my one shot. That is the first person on my list. I don't know if you can say it says Demi Lovato. Shit. Wow. Why do you know me this well? Yes, she made a great documentary, and I think she is a wonderful person. But to your point about Vladimir Putin, I think that is a great person to bring up for Person of the Year. Sort of piggybacking off of that, it's interesting that maybe trolls or just online personas were not included.
That's
because
a
they've
good
had
Person of the Year too.
Yeah, just trolls.
Yeah.
That, you know, remember there was a couple years back, Time had the weird magazine cover where it was YouTube basically, but it said you are the Person of the Year because you influence advertising money. It was kind of cheap, but that is. Don't look at the rest of my list because I'm embarrassed.
I saw the second one already, and it's just like you're so basic.
So give me a second one.
Selena Gomez.
No, you. That was my second one. You say your second one.
My second one is Lana Del Rey.
That's my third one. Give me your answers, because you took it seriously, and I obviously didn't.
Okay,
so you say someone.
I put Ajit Pai on there, even though I don't believe that he should be. Even though like this whole net neutrality thing has gotten people really worked up, but that's only been in like the past couple of months.
But that is a great. I don't know if it would necessarily be him to be Person of the Year, but he has influenced.
Net neutrality. Can net neutrality be one?
I think that's more of a concept.
Yeah.
So I don't.
I like more like the other thing, like trolls in general. I think we have talked a lot about trolls and how they affect us through, how they have affected us through Facebook and social media, and how they've pretty much just influenced our decision making.
Yeah, online trolls and how they have influenced, whether it is elections or just sort of.
So I don't know if like Mark Zuckerberg like falls into that because he allowed selling ads to like Russia and stuff, but I'd put him on there. But let me go through my list.
Please do.
My next one was EA, Electronic Arts, because of this whole backlash surrounding Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
And just microtransactions in general. That was like the most downvoted post in Reddit history by far. So that was a big one, even though it's only like a certain group of people care about it. So
yeah, but it's a pretty huge group. I know it's specific if you're not in the world of gaming like myself. It was totally news to me, but talking about it with you, and you are an avid gamer.
It reflects a bigger backlash to just corporations and corporate greed.
Exactly. That's why I think it is actually, EA is a good contender to put on this list if we were to broaden it, because what I don't think people realize is how much money and the monetary transactions that are taking place in the gaming community and how that is being abused by major corporations. Like that speaks, you can carry that little microcosm of what happened within EA to other industries that are being affected by this. So that's a good example.
Yeah, so my next one is Elon Musk, because he's amazing.
Yeah.
He's Tony Stark, and I think he's doing a lot of big things, and at the same time, the pressure is mounting on him to deliver these big things. So one of like the funny things that I often see on the internet is like the world is going to the shit, but Elon Musk is gonna be there for us to get us off this planet before it actually does.
Yeah, he is gonna go full Iron Man.
Yeah, and it feels like he has just his hands in so many different things, from space to renewable energy to just the future of how we do things, like from his new semi truck that came out to the rockets that land after they go up into space. It's just like he's doing such amazing things, and like I'm rooting for him to succeed at every turn.
Because we're probably gonna need to leave this planet.
Yeah, and then but like that said, there's also a lot of bad press coming out from him, and in the way that his employees are treated at SpaceX and Tesla at the factories. Apparently, the conditions are terrible for a lot of these people. But yeah, I think he should definitely be on the list.
I'll name some more from my list. Just flying through it, because again, I realized that we took this list differently. I put John Oliver on there because I think that he is majorly influenced.
Love that one.
He's majorly influenced, I would say, politics, or how people view politics, sort of a little bit of a humorous cynicism to a lot of the shit that's gone on this year. And it sort of feels like your very smart friend is informing you about things that maybe you didn't know you should be caring about.
Yeah.
So I think that he has influenced a lot of my opinions, the opinions of my friends. A lot of times you'll get into a conversation about something and you'll realize that you both got your information from John Oliver. That in and of itself, is that a problem? Probably, but also it speaks to how much people really respect him and his show. I also have BTS on there because I think it's really impressive how they've crossed over. And I think that BTS, it's a K-pop group. It's like the biggest K-pop boy band.
I didn't know you were into K-pop.
Well, I wasn't until I saw BTS perform at the AMAs, and I'd kind of seen their music videos before, and I just was super impressed. And they were just incredibly respectful, and like their dance moves are insane.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you said BTS, my mind first went to BTK. I was like, yeah, the BTK killer. The BTK killer should definitely be on the list.
No, I think that they're a group of young men who I've been really impressed with musically and then performance-wise as well, and their ability to cross over to Western audiences, in my opinion, is unparalleled, so I want to give them props. And then also, my person of the year would probably be Lil Peep, because I love his music. And
because he died?
Well, he passed away, and I kind of, for me, if it's my person of the year, which is how I took this list that we were making, I would say him, because I really have been inspired by his music, and I think
I haven't listened to any of his music.
You should. It's great.
Maybe you can make me a mixtape.
Yeah, sure. Now your person of the year.
Mother Nature.
Come on.
Come on, like that affected our news cycle a ton with all the hurricanes that happened.
Yeah, I take it back. That's a pretty good one, actually.
Yeah.
And I can see Time doing that too. So you took this list in a way that was actually serious, in a way that Time would likely do. Like Time is probably not going to roll out and say, hey, Lana Del Rey is our person of the year. But Time might say Mother Nature because of the hurricanes this year. We were just in our show intro, we were talking about the wildfires in California. Earthquakes.
Yeah.
I mean, natural disasters, it feels like, especially with climate change, has just been ramping up every year to a level that we have never seen before. I also have Lena Waithe on my list. She is a writer, actor. She was on Master of None, and she wrote the Thanksgiving episode, and she is now an Emmy award-winning.
The one that went up with
Aziz Ansari. Yes. Yeah. So she's been great. Also, she's sort of a great representation of butch of center women, which I always like. So again, for me, if it's my list, person of the year.
Cool.
And then I put Taylor Swift on there because
why?
Because the criteria is for better or for worse.
I'd say like she didn't have that big of like a news year this year. Last year was way bigger for her. What did she do this year?
She released Reputation, Amir.
Yeah, no one, and that blew over. Like 1989 was like such a bigger album than that.
Reputation's pretty huge.
No, it's not.
Well, it wouldn't be for you, Mr. EA Games. Like you haven't been paying attention to it, but it's a pretty big.
Okay.
It's a pretty big one. Do you got another one?
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein. I know like hashtag Me Too is on there, but I'd say Harvey Weinstein is the big one that blew the lid over everything.
I think that's a great point, but I think that if it does end up being the hashtag Me Too campaign that Time names as their person or group of the year, it will be because they do not want to give any sort of glory or add to the.
I read an article that Time has just become more and more PC every year with who they pick, and it's totally right. Like there was a time where Time was picking Adolf Hitler as the person of the year.
They picked Donald Trump. That's not, I mean, politically correct.
Donald
a lot
Trump
of people
isn't Adolf Hitler though.
I know. I do not mean to conflate the two. What I'm just saying is that to say they're politically correct, I mean, it's actually quite divisive what they did last year, and I think that that's good. They should take a hard stance if they believe it's the person of the year. Yeah. So I don't think they're very PC, but I'm going to be really interested to see who they select. Another person.
But the thing is, Harvey got more news and coverage than the victims did. And that's the cynical, sad truth about it.
And if they do cover it in the perspective of a hashtag Me Too, I hope that they discuss that, but don't put this guy's name. Actually, I don't know. I'd be really interested to hear what you guys think about this. Who would be your person or group of the year? It's a really tricky decision. Remember, the criteria is someone who affected the news cycle, influenced the news during the past year for better or for worse. So we want to hear from you. That's going to do it for us today. Thanks for hanging out with us on Pop Trigger. We'll see you next time.